The meeting will come to order. This approval of the agenda is something that I don't think we've done except for the last couple of meetings. It must be a Robert's Rules thing or something, is it? What happens if we don't like the agenda? I mean, can you change it now? It seems like...
Yes, you can make a motion to change the agenda.
Oh, okay. Well, it seems like if we were doing that, we should do it a little bit earlier, but anyway. Okay. I guess so. I guess we need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And a second.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
I guess we don't have to change it. All right. The last minutes of the last meeting, has everybody had a chance to look at those? If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Yeah,
Motion to approve the minutes.
Seconded.
Okay. I apologize for the last month. I guess I made an inappropriate amendment there because it had already been appeared in the minutes before the previous month's minutes. So I apologize for that. All those in favor of approving the minutes as printed?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. All right. So we've got several items that Elise has put on the agenda here. We've got a grant for, oh, excuse me, thank you. We do have members of the public here. And do either of you have comments to make? No? Okay. All right. Ed, did we have any printed public comment? No? Okay. Elise had a item on a new, potentially a new marina boat, a spill and hazmat grant. Elise?
So we did apply for the oil spill and hazmat equipment grant through Washington State Department of Ecology. The grant has been submitted. We should know at the end of August if we are approved or not. And what we would receive in that is a boat that is virtually the exact same thing as what we have. Because I actually reached out to 3 different aluminum workboat makers. Munson was the only one that actually came back with a quote. The other 2 quoted something astronomical, and we're not asking for motors or a trailer, we're asking just a boat. And then the other company we found was apparently not a company, but a company at the same time, because when you call, they try to sell you some sort of insurance. And when I reached out online, I got 0 response. So it would be the same Munson 23 landing craft. And we are working with the fire department to fulfill the HAZWOPER section of the employee training so that we don't have to pay to send myself, Duncan McPhee, and Danny Ledgerwood down to Seattle in order to get that in-person training, which would also pull us away from the marina additional time. And we'll work with the fire department so that we all know what the other one's doing in that kind of actual emergency. So we are required to do an 8-hour in-person training for that. We're going to break it up into 4-hour blocks, and we're going to work with each shift that the fire department currently has so that we will all be on the same page regardless of what kind of emergency we encounter.
And what is going to happen to the old boat then?
At that point, if we do receive it, I believe we will give it back to the Clean Vessel Act, because that one has a contract that, to my knowledge, has not been signed at this point, and it is not supposed to be used for anything but pump outs.
But we've been using it for other things for a long time.
The contract changed on this last renewal,
Okay.
and that's part of why It has not been signed at this point.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it used to be a 1-year, 1-page contract. It's now a 25-page, 5-year contract. So,
Okay. So that boat would then go back to them? We aren't allowed to sell it or anything?
No.
Okay.
no. But we
Right.
do own the motors outright. So
Okay.
we would keep the motors and put those on the new boat. We also have $86,000 in a motor vessel replacement fund, so that if they did hit the extent of their life, which is not that far off, in reality, we could replace them.
Right.
The potential new boat, would you be able to use that for other purposes?
Yes, yes, we could use that as virtually anything we wanted. The big thing with that one is it has to be listed as a vessel of opportunity, which currently, if you go on the Ecology website, there's one listed in the Marina. I have no idea what that boat is supposed to be because no one has ever let the Marina know that they have a vessel of opportunity. And when you call that phone number, it is not a phone number anymore. So, and the closest response for a major oil spill would be coming out of Bellingham. So we wanted to try to fill that gap.
And what would we do for a Marina boat if the grant doesn't go through?
We will look at different options and figure out what Plan B is. Right now, that's Plan A, and we'll pivot when we have to, if we need to.
All right. Okay. We were going to have a discussion on marina fuel pricing, I guess. I think I might have brought this up last time. It's been a long time since we've done anything about our marina fuel pricing. Do you have any comments on that, Elise?
I would like to know what you want more information on. That was a really broad, when you say fuel pricing, what more information would you like from me, or what do you want me to do with that, I guess is my question.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I've looked at our revenue and expense sheets, and it looks like our profit margin on our fuel sales is pretty slim. It's like 15%, which, if you add in our employee costs, we're probably making zero or almost zero money on our fuel sales. What I would like to see is a rundown over a long enough period of time of our revenues versus expenses, so that we have a real idea of what our fuel profit margin is, and then try and factor in something for our employee costs such that we can make a profit on our fuel sales.
So this summer, we are working to put an individual that earns or costs the marina a little less money at the fuel dock most of the time. Therefore, we are making more profit off of that. So like putting myself at the fuel dock doesn't make sense unless
Yeah.
I'm training.
Yeah.
Or there's no one else around. And that is my goal, is to get everyone on staff to where they feel comfortable pumping fuel and being down there with boaters, so that I can utilize all of the employees in a better way, so that we can make some more
Yeah.
money off of the fuel.
Well, it is, it's a labor-intensive thing, because I've been down there timing it myself of how long somebody spends down there when I'm fueling my boat, and it's not insignificant. You really eat up all of the profit margin in the employee costs.
So we have a fuel price calculator that we use, that you put in the wholesale cost, the Fed excise gas, and all the different little taxes that go along with that, Washington environmental, load fee, Washington management fee, whatever. And it spits out for you both the diesel and the gas retail prices based on that equation. And happy to send that to the commission, and so you can kind of see what our cost is, what goes into that final retail cost. That'll explain at least the fuel levels. If you want here's our total expenditures, here's our total revenues. The best way to do that would be on an annual look back. So we could do that for all of like 2024.
Yep.
Because of the seasonality of it, you're not going to, you have upfront expenditures, and then, later on
Yeah.
revenues as the summer goes on, and we sell all that fuel over time, right?
I
So
understand
we need
that.
to have
That's
a
why-
long enough look back to get a good idea.
Yeah, I understand that. That's why I think we ought to look at it over a long period of time, a year or something, and average it out that way.
Do we have an idea of how our prices compare to other close by marinas?
Off the top of my head, no. Typically and historically, we have been, if not the lowest, right with the lowest price. I know that has fluctuated a little, and especially in the winter when we top off a tank. Like, for example, we topped off the tanks after the commercial crab season because they had dropped low enough that we needed to order fuel. And then that sat for a little while, and our price was a little higher early this spring because we were still getting rid of fuel that we purchased. And with us not changing price unless we order fuel, that makes a big difference too, because the prices fluctuate quite a bit, even daily for that matter.
I think based on our location and that there aren't fuel docks anywhere nearby, I think our price should actually be higher. And maybe not higher than other places, but I think it should increase. I think we have competitive advantage there. I think anyone who shows up at that fuel dock, they're not going to be thinking, like, is this the best price I can get? They're getting fuel there. And I think we should take advantage of that. We don't have the best location relative to other marinas as far as like access to the San Juans or access to Seattle, but what we do have is that we're remote, and we should use that as an advantage.
It's kind of a classic blunder that you would see that with general aviation airports, right? They're kind of isolated away. They try to attract with low fuel prices, but really they should be charging a convenience fee because it usually is locals that, well, now they don't have to go, way off to these more expensive marinas because they're a little hometown marina. And you're absolutely right. When BST did the financial planning for the marina, they did look at a number of different marinas around the region and did a cost comparative analysis of that. And we can send that report on to you guys so you can look at that.
It'd be nice to see that and then the algorithm used for pricing. Do you know off the top of your head, is there a factor in there for labor? Like, do you have any scalar in the pricing algorithm for labor?
For labor, is that what you said?
Not that I'm aware of, and mainly because it's really hard to predict who's going to be pumping that fuel. So,
Yeah, I mean, it'd be, even if we had just a peanut butter spread on there,
Okay.
So I'm looking down the calculator list, and no, there's no labor percentage added in.
All right, any other comments on the marina fuel pricing? And how to incentivize people to the marina? Discussion of mortgage. Who
Cheap fuel?
too soon, Louis, too soon.
Elise, did you have anything on that?
So one of the things, the first one we're doing is we'll be at the boat show this week. We are going to tell the public we are not closing. We do have slips available. Please come see the marina, use the marina. We're also working on our community outreach this summer pretty heavily. The mayor had asked that we have an event that the public is welcome to each month this summer. That does not mean the marina has to host all of those. And that was one thing that I got when I really talked with Port of Everett last fall about how do we get the community engaged. They told me, oh, we host 86 events at the marina, but actually we host 4. The public uses our facility for those other 82 events. We have the venue, but we don't actually have to host them, but people still come down and use our marina at that point. So for the month of June, we're gonna try to expand on the Marine Swap Meet that's happening on June 7th. We'll already kind of have a captive audience in the public coming down to get rid of and or buy new marine parts. Gonna see if we can add some kids' activities, possibly get a food truck down and make at least half a day of it. Because the Power Squadron and the Yacht Club are hosting that, so we can include those 2 community groups in that part as well. We had a lot of momentum with the community in the Coho Salmon program, and we'd like to keep moving forward with it. So we had actually one mom that brought her kid down weekly at least. And she looked at me and she goes, okay, what's next? And I was like, beautiful question that I will try to get an answer for, but right now, I don't know. So we're trying to utilize resources we already have in order to keep that going. We have the kids fishing derby July 27th. So we're going to try to make, again, a day out of that, out of an event that was already happening. August, there's Hydros for Heroes that the community can already come down and enjoy. And September, we'd like to kind of do a community open house again, like the birthday party, except we don't have to sing happy birthday, and I guess we could have cake if we wanted it, but it's not a mandatory thing for this one. Trying to include dragon boat use, sailing, and then also if Suva is back, we could have Suva come down because they're celebrating their birthday in June, their 100th, and then we could have open boat tours again as well.
Yeah, I suppose all these things are good as far as getting maybe the community involved in the marina, but I don't think they get boats to come to moor. One of the issues that we have there is, nobody wants their boat sitting on the bottom, and until we get the dredging done, I think we're going to be losing moorage customers rather than gaining them. I think we're already starting to see that happen. I always wonder, at least, do you get people from CDOC say, do they ask you if they can get a different moorage slip or something that if they're sitting on the bottom? I mean, I know there are sailboats there that have their keels in the mud at low tides.
We've not had anyone recently ask for a different slip at low tide, no.
Really? Okay. I'm kind of surprised because I often wonder whether people know that they're sitting on the bottom.
Looking at the administrator's report, the 28-foot slips are the most empty.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any ideas about why they're empty or how we could incentivize them to get back in the water or here?
So the 28s being that empty is not necessarily that uncommon for this time of year. We did see a little lower occupancy last year than we had seen in years past. For that one, it is kind of tough because they are trailerable, and a lot of people don't want to spend the additional, because a 28-foot uncovered slip right now runs you $291.73 a month, where they could buy an annual ramp pass for $112.84. So anytime people come up to buy annuals, I do try to sell a slip, and we try to use that with all of the staff, talking about how convenient it is to walk down the gangway, get in the boat and go, versus having to deal with the trailer and everybody at the ramp. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We will start seeing, and we have started seeing more traffic for those in the last couple of weeks. People are starting to get ready to go boating. You are seeing the nicer weather, so I'm seeing an increase, but that one has always kind of been a tough one to sell.
Which was also part of why we were doing the reconfiguration.
Yeah.
So, I do have a question, if I can. Related to the wheelers,
Yeah.
Scooby,
Yeah.
it's up to you if you want to take public comment on this item before opening it up, public comment, but yeah, they'll come and give their name and.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I think, if you'd give your name and address, and we can hear a comment from you for 3 minutes.
So, Fred Ames, I live in Coopville. I just had a question about the wait list. Last week, there was some discussion about where there were. I was wondering if there's any progress in working through that to decide if it's still as long as it is or it's been diminished a bit. Thank you.
Do you have before you sit down, do you have a specific wait list you're asking about? Because I have probably 10 wait lists.
Sorry, no, I didn't have.
Okay. Currently, there's not a wait list for 24-foot, either covered or uncovered. Currently, there's not a wait list for 28-foot, neither covered or uncovered. And we do not have a wait list for 32-foot covereds as well. So up to a 34-foot boat, no taller than 13.5, we would have a slip available as of today. As long as they're not trying to live aboard, they can provide current registration and current insurance with $300,000 liability and the marina listed as an additional insurer.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other, oh, Barbara.
I haven't talked to Celine recently from Island Transit, but my understanding is June 1st, they are going to be changing that. It's 7 days a week. We'll see. It's not the best hours, 8 to 4:30, but it's better than nothing. So hopefully, and I didn't bring it, I don't think. There was a little tag they gave me. You can actually learn how to ride the bus or whatever. And so I'm hoping that we'll be able to promote that more for people, like when we go for the Anacortes event, to remind people, you're not stuck on your boat or have to walk. We're getting that set up, and it's still, I think it's just on the weekends that we don't have it, but, so maybe that's some information we can bring so that they can know that, hey, we can actually go to town or wherever. So, thanks.
I'll also include that Mayor Wright will be hosting one of his Wright Blend community check-in groups at the Marina this summer as well.
Do we know when?
July or August, I think, is what he said. I'll have to double check. I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's fun, because I'm going to.
It would seem that would be a great thing to advertise along with, the races and so on, where we do have a lot of people coming into the marina. I know we talked a few sessions ago about, having them at least put, advertising on their sites. Has anything been done in that avenue, or?
Not yet. I have not had a ton of contact with the first regatta we're having is the Whigby Summer Classic one. And I
gotta watch out
don't
for
know
those
that there's any advertising for that one.
It's just kind of an additional information about the transit.
And then I will reach out to Hydros for Heroes and make sure that we are included in their promotional advertising, because that's
Yeah.
our next big one.
That might be a good small project thing to take on, kind of, rules and recs around that.
Back to open slips. Do we do any advertising saying like we have open slips? I think that there might not be local people, but there might be people in nearby areas that can't find a slip and might be interested in coming here.
That's part of the Anacortes Boat Show. We are taking a 11 by 17 map of the marina, showing exactly which slips are available, so that if people did just buy a boat, can't find anywhere else to put it, or are walking by saying, I need a slip for the summer, do you have something? And we've also got a sheet that is collecting rental information from them, so that we'll have their contact and boat information to move forward with after the event as well. Besides that, at this point, I don't believe we have anything in print. Part of that was just lay time and the changing of the guard. The contact information wasn't necessarily updated.
Yeah.
I think we used to put some ads in a couple of the sailing magazines, 48 North, and we don't do that anymore.
Trying to get a hold of 48 North, they are not returning my phone call.
Really?
Because we haven't even gotten our magazines for the month of May or April. So I tried to reach out. I will keep trying, but I've not been able to get a response yet.
All right. Okay, anything else on the boat moorage? And you have, we got some commission vacancies on this commission.
Yes, we had 6 applications. Council finally got through the changes and updates to the commission interviewing and onboarding process. That's all been approved by council. So Mikhail just notified us at the end of the last week that we can move forward with doing those interviews. I've gotten 3 confirmations scheduled so far for Wednesday the 21st. Counselor Arms and I and Elise, and since JJ's out, Scooby, if you'd like to join us, happy to have you in on those. 2 of them right now are in person at the marina, at the harbor master's office, and 1 will be virtual.
Okay.
Which one is virtual?
The 4 o'clock one in the afternoon. The morning ones are at the marina.
And when did you say that was? What? Mon-
Wednesday, the 21st.
Okay.
I will include you on the invite if you want to
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
join us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, those applicants can only fill one of the 2 vacant spaces because we have to have a customer resident and a non-customer residence. And we do not have any applicants that qualify for the non-customer resident seat at this time. To my knowledge, they are going to start actively advertising for that here in the next 2 weeks. I'm trying to put out fillers for people that utilize the marina that don't necessarily have a boat. I talked with one of our contractors and someone that was actively part of SUVA, found out they weren't in the city limits, so that conversation didn't go very far. But if you know someone that you think might make a good fit, reach out to them, let them know that it's available.
Subcommittees. Who's the short-term project committee?
Yeah, Elise made a nice slide for me to read off of. Thank you. Starting off, the marina entrance sign is in place and nearly complete or complete.
It was not complete as of this morning when I drove through, but they are not open on Mondays. So I'm fingers crossed it will be tomorrow. We're only missing that little piece that says a marine park for general public use.
No. But looks very nice. And you said it's up higher, so very visible. And then the small boat storage, on-land storage, Elise is working on getting a flyer with a QR. I took a couple to the yacht club and I chased people down to fill it out. So I think we've doubled our responses since about a week ago, and hoping to get more. We're trying to get as many responses to that as possible to get like the most accurate data of what people are looking for. But at our meeting last week, we talked about starting to move forward with just figuring out quoting for fencing, because we're going to need fencing regardless of the end result of what goes inside of it. And that's the key part of it, is just having an area. And then I think what we should work on soon with the responses we're getting is, what the registration and will look like for that, what the cost will be, and how people sign up to keep their boat in there, and how we organize that. Dock carts are looking great. We got a lot more carts back on the pier for everybody to use, and I've been enjoying that a lot. I've used the outboard dolly twice, and that's made my life a lot easier. I haven't had to carry my outboard up in one hand and take breaks. So yeah, I'm happy about that. And then the new carts are here. They're being reinforced before being put into use. But I think we're ready for summer with all of that. It's a great success. And then maybe Elise, you want to talk about the power pedestals more, but it sounds like we're not moving forward with a big purchase of them right now, but it's an option.
So part of why we've kind of decided to hold back on that is we have $250,000 for marina refurbishment. A lot of that is going to go towards the main dock whalers that need to be replaced. That was initially what that money was allotted for. But any additional funds left over, we can put towards power pedestals. So instead of having just a hit of $50,000 to get 50 of those, we can potentially use some of this money that might be left from this whaler project and then move forward with that. And that we should know more about next week. We are supposed to have Moffitt Nichols come and walk through and talk about what exactly we want for scope of work so that we can move forward with the bid package for that one. And we do have that $250,000 in marina reserves right now, and it was allocated in the 2025-2026 budget for that purpose. So that one is not one we have to try to figure out how to get the funding. That one we actually do have it.
Okay. Anything else on short-term committee? Okay. Long-term project committee, as Elise said, we are meeting with, we're going to have a meeting with Moffett Nichols next week. Hopefully I'll attend that. I don't know if Josh can do that one too. But we'll learn more about what's ahead as far as I believe the breakwater repair. They're gonna give us some options there, perhaps. And then as far as our current dredging project, those permits have just been submitted. We did pass our hazmat thing by grouping all of the sediments together, and apparently we are now going with, or at least the plan is reducing the dredging amount by about 2 feet. Is that right? So that we're dredging to a -12 rather than -14 now.
For FDOC, yes.
For FDOC,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else, Elise?
Those are really all the updates I have at the moment for long-term. Like I said, we may have more next meeting, just after meeting with Moffett Nichols, to have a better idea of how we're going to approach the breakwater.
Yeah, I think that's very key. All right, anything else long-term? Harbor Master, what's happening with the Harbor Master?
So last week, we did second round of interviews with 4 well-qualified applicants that made it to the second round. They interviewed with the mayor and the city administrator, came out and did a site visit, tour of the marina, and had a meet and greet with some of our staff there at the office. We are waiting for our HR director to get back tomorrow, and we'll meet with her, and the mayor is currently meeting with finance on the pay, and we hope to make an announcement soon.
Okay. Soon meaning a month, 2 weeks?
I would say no more than a week or so.
All right.
So Byron, if you don't mind, that Harbor Master update could also be what's going on at the marina. And I'm going to take that as such and give you guys kind of an update. We have gotten all of our seasonals now. Kelly started today. So we now have 3 seasonals. You'll see Kelly, Nathan, and Dick at the marina for our seasonal staff. We have Tiana as our part-time year-round position. And then Duncan will also be coming back from medical leave within the next week. So you'll start to see almost a full staff at the marina, and we would not be looking as good without them, I can guarantee it. I'm very appreciative of all of them, and they make my life a lot easier. We did our fish release a week on the 3rd, sorry. My days are starting to run together. We had over 100 people attend, and the Swinomish tribe did come and perform a blessing and a drumming, which was really a special thing for us. The nets are out of the water. They've been pressure washed. They're hanging on the end of building 3, and we'll be pulling the pins here in the next week. Staff is just making sure we're ready for the busy season. So we got a lot of things to kind of spruce up and get prepped after the winter. We turned irrigation back on yesterday. Thankfully, we had no leaks because chasing those down is not always super fun. And again, we are just trying to think of innovative ways to keep people at the marina and or to get people to come to the marina. So we are trying to be actively involved in any way possible. We are doing more social media posts, which may or may not be everyone's bread and butter, but I know the big thing with that is you have to be consistent, so we are trying to make that consistently. And yeah, there'll be a lot of new things, well, not a lot of new things, but some things that you'll tell the difference from winter to summer here. Flower baskets came in and look great, so it's already starting to feel like busy season.
All right. Marina Advisory Commission comments. Anybody have any comments to make? No. Jeez.
I got one.
Oh, Barbara.
I think it's the Boys and Girls Club that were down for the fishery. Well, they actually had the kids take a bus tour. And they did not realize that the bus went to the marina. So they were all excited that they could actually get on the bus and come down to the marina, and they didn't have to load everybody in the car. So that was a good plug for the young people to get out there. So I think that's part of our problem, is that people don't know that if they don't want to drive down, they can take the bus. It's a little bit of a hassle, I'm sure, but I think we can work off the kinks, so it'll take time. That will encourage more people to come, picnic, do everything else. So I will try to get hold of Celine again to get that going.
Well, yeah, I've got a few, actually, questions. Brian, what's happened with the Port Commission thing? Has there been any movement on that? Yeah, have we checked with Coopville Port to see if they're interested in
Yeah,
us
the
merging?
mayor's office is in discussions with them. I haven't heard an update on it yet. I know that they're having discussions.
Okay. And I guess I just get really frustrated with the pace that we're going at getting funding for these important projects. And I mean, the B&O tax, I think I first heard about that nearly a year ago, and as yet, we don't have anything there. Is that, I see it as kind of losing out on about somewhere around $60,000 to $80,000 a month every month that we go by without that happening. Do you have any
Yes.
enlightenment on that?
Yeah, and in fact, thank you for bringing that up. So the business and occupancy tax has a public hearing with council on May 20th. I highly encourage you to attend that and provide public comment.
All right.
Do you know what time that is, Chris?
The meeting starts at 5:30. That item is, actually, it's pretty far up at the meeting. So they'll have just a few presentations, then consent agenda, and then that's the first item under public hearing. So, yeah, it'll be earlier in the meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that's May.
We have been trying to get it. I have been trying since January. And it just people keep asking questions, people are concerned, and it just keeps dragging. And so, it depends on the rest of the council. And, I'm trying, but then, somebody wants to know something else, or somebody's upset. And, it's,
I just get the feeling that our mayor and our council doesn't realize the urgency of the dredging and the breakwater. I mean, it's vital for the existence of our marina, and I just don't think that's appreciated. But
I shared with city leadership that we are literally bottoming out at the marina.
Yeah.
At low tide.
Yeah.
Our breakwater is sitting on ground.
well, and
pushing
boats
up
are
on-
sitting on the ground too.
Yeah, but it's stressing
Yeah.
those through rods and C-clamps, and that's what's contributing to the accelerated deterioration and undermining the stability of that.
And I guess I just have one other comment, and that's, I was just looking at the mayor's preliminary budget, 2025 to 2026, and so they list some of the things we're doing, including I've still got listed $11 million for our dredging project and something like 7.5 million, I think, for the breakwater repair. But under the marina dredging, this is a direct quote from that budget. It says, "This project will be funded by marina rates and bonds paid by marina users." We can't do it that way. That's, the debt service on that is $600,000 a year, and we don't have that. So I think the council and the mayor have to get up to speed on this. It's not going to happen just by wishing it.
Right, and really what led to the whole discussion around the marina is that even if we are fine financially, and we can get there with the dredging, make modifications or whatever, but without being able to address the breakwater, we don't have the useful life of the asset to meet the full
That's
length
right.
of the debt service. That
That's right.
causes an issue. So we have to address both those things at the same time.
Yep.
Brian, isn't there something that Rick Larson put in for his budget, but we don't know if it came through or if it's going to? Remember, he did
Well,
like
he included, yes, he
feasibility
included the
study?
Oak Harbor, which was a huge win for us, included the Oak Harbor Marina in the waterways bill.
Yeah.
For the Army Corps of Engineers to include that in their studies for both the channel dredging and replacement of the breakwater.
Yeah.
That reopens the door for us a little bit with the Army Corps. But,
We don't know.
you know, as far as a timely, you know, repair of the breakwater, you know, as we have 1 year of permitting reviews, right? So, and then Moffett and Nichols comes out at the end of this month to do the inspection of the breakwater. They'll be updating the repair plans for that, and we'll have to do permitting for that. So maybe, let's say a year and a half, you know, once that's done and permits are done. We have to have a financial solution in place by that point, or
Yeah.
we start sinking.
Okay. Any other pertinent comments?
I've got one question. We talk about busing people down there, trying to give them a reason to come there. Chris, have you looked at like pickleball courts somewhere on the grass, or like just so there's some reason for people to come down there besides the few, you know, days a year where there's a big event? There's barbecue, there's a nice part, like that's not going to drive revenue, but we have to get people to vote to pay more taxes too. And so if there's some other reasons, maybe that's a dumb idea, but I'm just trying to think of what's going to get them down there if they don't have a boat or a fishing pole.
So, Josh, Chris isn't around anymore, so it's Lise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Josh, this is Brian. So, yeah,
Right.
you're
Yes, I'm
thinking
sorry.
in the same lines that we are. We want to have the public down there, whether or not they have a boat. So one of the plans that we have in the budget right now is for renovation of Catalina Park, and looking at different amenities we could put down there. You know, Marina staff had the idea of putting a little mini golf course down there. You know, Barbara's been working very closely with Island Transit to get transit service to run on weekends as well as during the week. You know, the mayor's really pushing for us to do additional activations down there, and he's contributing to that. So yes, we're thinking through all those different things on how can we get the public more familiar with the marina, how much the marina, you know, provides in value to the community, not just as an economic benefit, which is about $5 million to our economy here at Oak Harbor, but also in the character of the city. And you know, it's a big talking point as we talk about the waterfront district planning, which we've been having open houses on as well. So yeah, you know, keep ideas like that coming, and we're working and trying to implement as much as we can. So there's a good awareness of the value of the marina as we talk about these financial solutions.
Okay. Any other comments? No. All right, determination of future agenda items. Anybody have anything they'd like to have discussed?
I think it'd be good if we were meeting whoever the new harbor master is at our next meeting. Sounds like that has potential.
Yes, I think we will definitely introduce a new harbor master at the next meeting.
Great. Okay. Anything else? All right, I guess, Elise, did you have something?
We're just making sure you guys don't want anything from us next meeting?
Well, we'd like
I
something,
mean, I
of-
would like some suggestions so I can give you what you want.
well, hopefully we'll have more information on our breakwater.
Okay,
I
yep.
want
A
to, I want
breakwater
some
update?
updates on what, costs and what, the options and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah,
And, yeah, and then we're going to get some information on the fuel pricing
Okay.
too. Okay?
yep.
Yeah. I think we could review that calculator and look at our prices relative to nearby.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
If you think of any other items you want to discuss over the next couple weeks, let Stevie know and we'll check in with him.
All right.
Maybe about how Anacortes went, kind of a summary of how the people that were down there, because you're the boating community, obviously I'm not, I'm the crazy councilwoman. Anyway, so you all, so we know where we went and, what we need to do to, maybe it will answer some of our questions that we're not thinking about, so that would be good.
And at least for those of us that are manning the booth there in Anacortes, are we going to get some info, some pitch points and so forth? Or
Yes, I am actually working on getting that created today or tomorrow, and making sure that they align with everything that the mayor and Sabrina's wanting to put out, or the city administrator. We also will have the QR code at our table for that small boat storage. We will have some prizes for kiddos if they come. We have some ink pens to hand out. We'll have rental information. We'll also have basic marina information, like heights of covered moorage slips, the size of the fairways in between slips, so that everyone could effectively answer that question for a boater, instead of it just falling. And I should be there as long as Duncan returns to work on Wednesday. And I'll be there all 3 days, as
Oh,
long
okay.
as that happens.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
And Saturday's Elisa's birthday, so
Okay, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Fine.
We have been trying, I have been
Okay.
really hard with BMO. I am getting so much pullback from it because it's called a progressive tax. And then with the state dealing with the feds,